Cylindropuntia echinocarpa and Cylindropuntia acanthocarpa, two of the most common cholla species in the Mojave Desert, yet they look fairly similar to each other and can be quite difficult to tell apart, so I want to tell you guys how to do it. Now, it might not be so difficult for you more experienced botanists, but it certainly can be tricky for newcomers, and it was for me at one point. So let's just jump right into it. This, as I said, is Cylindropuntia acanthocarpa, also known as the Buckhorn Cholla. This is about how large it typically grows, about 1 meter or 3 feet tall, though it can get up to 6 feet tall or 2 meters. Meanwhile, Cylindropuntia echinocarpa, also known as the silvery cholla for reasons that are pretty obvious, usually gets taller than this, like up to 3 feet, but rarely ever taller than that. Now, as the name accurately describes, it is quite silvery in appearance on account of its dense spines, and that's the first way you can tell them apart. Cylindropuntia echinocarpa has much denser spines, and this is partly because it has shorter tubercles. If you're wondering what tubercles are, they are, if you look on most cacti, these sort of protrusions that run along the length of the stem upon which the spines are born. The place they come out of, by the way, is called the areole. Now, due to the shorter tubercles, they can pack more spines per square inch than Cylindropuntia acanthocarpa does. Now, let's take a look over here. You can see the space between the spines much more easily. You can see that the tubercles are quite a bit longer. It's not just because I'm zoomed or anything. There's my hand for comparison. You can also notice that the limbs themselves are longer, and they seem to branch less frequently, giving it a much more spread out, sort of sprawling appearance. This is also aided by the fact that Cylindropuntia acanthocarpa often branches right at the base or has multiple stems coming out of the ground from one spot. As you can see here, there's like 2 growing out of the ground. Well, Cylindropuntia echinocarpa does this considerably less. This one branches much closer to the ground, or close to the ground, but still it's one continuous stem. As the plant gets older, it might drop some of them, so that's eventually has the appearance of a small tree as opposed to a large sprawling shrub. It's not so easy to tell on this one, but it is a definite feature of the plant. Another thing you can tell, if I can use my finger to give a size comparison, there the spines are shorter on Cylindropuntia echinocarpa. Let me fix the zoom there a little bit. There you go, that's my finger for comparison. Meanwhile, look at acanthocarpa again. See that the spines are a good deal longer. So that's a few ways you can tell them apart. Otherwise, there's not much to go off of. Now their flowers might be different. I honestly don't know because I've never seen them in bloom before. But you don't need flowers to tell them apart because their form should give them away. Speaking of which, actually not speaking of which, moving into a different subject, for distribution, as I said before, they have a very similar distribution growing alongside each other in the Mojave Desert, but you can also find them in the Colorado Desert, which is the dry portion along the Colorado River of the Sonoran Desert. It's to the south of here, and this one also can be found growing into the Southern Great Basin, like along the Owens Valley just west of, or just east actually, of Yosemite National Park. It's a rather cold tolerant cholla. Choyas tend to like the more hotter deserts in the more southern United States rather than the cooler Great Basin, but this one can survive into the Great Basin, which is awesome. Now all throughout here you can see more specimens of the Cylindropuntia acanthocarpa. It's definitely more abundant in this particular location. Get a good idea of what their form looks like more of a time. Long, spindly, spreading out like that. Cylindropuntia echinocarpa is lowered to the ground, more tightly packed, and often looks like a tiny tree. I hope I can find a specimen to show you guys, but this should be enough to tell them apart reliably. So thanks for watching and see you next time.